Guys, we're live, so as per usual, me and James, we started ahead of you guys. We're 10 minutes into the conversation. We had to push the button. So
Hit the
for anybody
button.
who doesn't know, this is, I think, James' third or fourth time now. Like, James is one of the first people who gave me an opportunity to be it, like to have somebody as popular as him as a guest. Then 4 years later, been an incredible friendship, relationship. So James, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why should they stay on? The
Yes,
next
I
half an
host
hour,
the
how
Sell
says it.
Better Daily Sales Show. We are live every single day, just interviewing sales leaders, sales top performers. What are they doing every day and how are they doing it? How are they being successful, hitting that leaderboard consistently? And then, of course, we see all these noobs coming into the room, learning even like from the ground up, everything from cold calling to managing accounts, territory management. There's just so much that goes into sales in the modern age. And our show tends to cover a big stroke of the pen for all of it. So it's such a pleasure
Yeah.
to have the greatest audience of salespeople in the world, the highest and the lowest paid profession on the planet. Think about that.
I love it. I actually couldn't have asked for anything better in my life than to land in sales.
You
And
say that. You say that. I think I hear it from both sides.
mate,
I
I look at
did
it
such
like
a
this.
great service to myself for joining sales, and then I hear, what have I done? I've committed my entire life to a world of rejection.
You gotta be an egotistical maniac. You gotta be part narcissist. Like, there's all these kind of things that are on this side. Then you've got this balance on this side, but you gotta be crazy. You have to be
I
crazy to
mean,
want to be doing this
so
stuff
thick
and be good
skin.
at
That's
sales.
absolutely.
Yeah,
What I say is that thick skin is a prerequisite. If you are
it has to.
unable to handle criticism, rejection, harsh feedback, and really just, I mean, these days it's like all out rude people sometimes. If you can't handle it, this is not for you. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not. You got to be able to laugh it off and move on with your day.
Absolutely. So look, most people are trying to get a reply, right? Even me. It's not, it's definitely, there's a science to it. There's something different. So
Oh,
our guest today, he's trying to build a reputation. He's the host, like I said, of of the Sell Better Daily Sales Show. It's one of the he's one of the most recognized personalities in sales. So in the next 30 minutes, I think we're going to break down. Look, this is for me. It's been I've taken years, 8 years in LinkedIn, 12 years altogether. But James will tell you how to build a personal brand properly that doesn't get you replies. It gets you a following, like people that actually give a shit and engage with your content. Um, James, look, welcome to the show. So you've built an incredible brand as Say What Sales. It's everywhere. It's on every social platform, Instagram, every single one of them, LinkedIn. You were doing this back at JB Sales, who was just on the show yesterday. It was a cool thing
yeah.
to do. What was the moment that you realized building a personal brand was no longer optional for a sales professional?
Actually, it was my first SaaS job where I saw somebody else that had a personal brand that was serving him well. So I worked with a guy, his name is Kenneth Herring, here out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And I watched this journey of him building this brand. So it started as Mr. I Love Fridays. And that was his shtick. He would get on every Friday and talk about how much he loved Fridays. You get to go out with your friends, you get to make plans for the weekend, you get to travel sometimes. He had all these reasons. But you know what? Nobody gave a shit that he loved Fridays. Everybody loves Fridays. So he switched. So I watched him switch to Mr. I Hate Mondays. And man, this hit the nerve. And he'd be like, on screen, it was exactly the same kind of video, but he'd be like, you know what I hate about Mondays? And then he'd like talk about working with a colleague that you don't like, or talk about working with a boss that treats you badly, or like the fact that there are 4 days after this one that you have to get. And then at the end, he'd be like, hashtag Mr. I Hate Mondays coming at you, and he'd say, dude, this was so consistent for him. So this was 2014. Prior to
Yeah.
being in SaaS, I was a door-to-door salesperson for Orkin Pest Control. And the Orkin Pest Control story is that I used to go door-to-door residential and knock on doors. Well, I'm a large mammal. And, it's tough to get people to let, like housewives and people that work at home, like they're not going to let some giant man into their house at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to do a free pest inspection. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be very personable at the door for that to work out, right? So as much as I tried and as successful as I was at it, what ended up
Yeah.
happening was that I would take a lunch every day and I would sit in my Orkin truck with the hard hat and the pocket protector and the big red diamond on my chest and the mustache because that's the only facial hair you can have at Orkin. Okay. And people, I would just,
Really?
dude, all I wanted to do was eat my sandwich at lunch. I had been going door to door, being told no all day, right? I just wanted to eat my sandwich, but I couldn't eat the sandwich without 25 people stopping me and asking me pest questions. And it hit me, dude, stop knocking on doors and just move the truck and
Okay.
sit there. And so I started parking in grocery stores. I started parking at gas stations. I started parking in like at local shopping marts, Aldi's, right? Like where people get groceries and Walgreens. And I would just sit and people would say, "Can I ask you a question about roaches? Can I ask you a question about these ants I'm starting to see in my kitchen? Hey, do you guys handle like stuff outside just like inside, right?" And it became clear to me that if I had
Yeah.
a recognizable brand in a specific industry that was well known for something, it would draw the attention all by itself. And then the following year I watched my friend Kenneth do this, and man, it hit me. Like if I start now and I constantly am talking to an audience of salespeople, and I have a brand that's recognized, like something that rolls off the tongue, it's catchy. If I also have a hashtag that is searchable and is only me, right? Like when you search hashtag say what sales, nobody else comes up, man. It's just
Yeah.
me,
Hmm.
right? And that's when I say, if you're a salesperson, we're the same person. Shane, I started going to events 2 years after I started doing this, and people at Dreamforce were like yelling that shit out at me from the booth. And you're like, yo, this is crazy. Like, hey, can we do a video together? And I would say, if you're a salesperson, and then they would go, we're the same person in the background, like, dude, it
They
was
do
like,
it.
it was a surreal thing. You know what I mean? You're like, this is crazy. You're like, I never would have thought that would have happened just by holding my phone in front of my face. That's what landed me in the purview of John Barrows, Morgan J. Ingram. We were all like friends, and I started like promoting their stuff. It was very difficult for them to ignore me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
and then before I knew it, I got this call at the end of 2019. I got this call from John, and he pitched me. This is the way he pitched me on the job. He was like, "The way that you make people feel is amazing. Do you want to do it with me?" And I was like, "Dude, it was very Jerry Maguire moment, right? Because I was like, you had me at hello, bro. Like, let's absolutely, like, let's do it, right?" So then we started doing the thing, and then COVID happened, and we pitched to the media company, and then the split off happened where John, Morgan went his own direction and started Amp Social, and then John continued to do what John does, which is amazing, is get on airplanes and go change salespeople's lives, and then me and Chris, we separated off and did the Sell Better thing with Leslie Douglas, Jed Marley, Will Aitken, and that's how the media company was born, and it was a nice adventure, I feel like it went exactly the way that it should have for me, you know what I mean? And all of us, of course, still
Absolutely.
friends. It's amazing. Yeah, it's a really good circle.
It always look. Everything happens for a reason. So one thing that's really important. You just spoke to me actually a few days ago about it, and even in my head, I'm just walking. I was walking outside this morning. I was like, should I do my video today? It just plays in my head. Today we're going to talk about progress, and then I was like, but what do I say next, right? So you talk about showing salespeople their true worth. I've recognized a lot of truth about myself by speaking to you. So how does a rep, an individual who's just starting out, like, how do they find that unique voice? How do they find what to talk about? And what would you encourage them to say? Like, what is the first step to building a brand that is
Mm.
authentic to them? But there's that fine barrier of like, authentic, like showing up at work as authentic does not mean like I'm fucking Susie from the Bronx and I'm gonna fucking jack you up with a knife if you fuck with me. Like, you have to be like, oh, that was nice, thank you. I appreciate your kind words, but there will be no shanking today.
Yeah,
You
we,
know?
we don't need to that. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I think the thing that I would say is that it doesn't take, like right now, I have the big cameras and the lights and all the different things, right? Like you see it. It's an established brand, and every brand will get there. But I think the thing that people start off with, and they struggle to keep the momentum going, is that they want it to happen overnight. They want that one video to slap, and they want, 2 million impressions on it. Well, first of all, I would tell you that impressions are the wrong thing to chase. Dollars are the things to chase, right? If you're going to collect anything with your brand, collect dollar bills. Collect 20s, collect hundreds, collect checks, collect invoices, collect bills that are going out and bills that are going in. Collect those, because that's the thing that your brand should be driving towards. And sometimes that comes in the form of selling a product. I know a ton of great brands, individuals that rep different products, and they sign brand deals, and they create, 20 videos over the course of like 6 months, for these big CRM companies, or these little tools that are out there trying to make a name for themselves and capture a small piece of the TAM. That's total addressable market, for those of you that are out there that are like, well, I don't know what that means, right? That these companies all come and go. We've all seen it. Lots of companies that are companies that should be features, right? And these are problems that we see in the space, because influencers everywhere are able to represent any brand they want. And these companies know the value of using brands, because they get to leverage those networks that they don't traditionally have access to. They don't have to have compliance, right? It's about you clicking something and going, I like this.
It's crazy that an influencer can have more popularity and clout than like a Coca-Cola.
So let's not get confused. There's a lot of different types of influencers out there. Maybe this is a good place to park it for a minute, right? I probably get asked to be an affiliate marketer to 8 out of 10 products that I end up representing on the show, right? And it's a tough conversation, because what all the brands want to do, the products want to do, is they want to say, well, you stop selling what you're selling and instead sell what I'm selling. And then if we can sell it, well, then we'll pay you. But it has to pass
I don't like that.
Following criteria, and it has to have this kind of forward momentum, and we need to close it in 30 days. And there's all these like stipulations that they do. Listen, if you want that to be your game, you can make an entire career out of representing and selling different products if you like. You really can.
Yeah, I encourage
people to do it, but it's a hustle.
It's
right?
an annoying
There's another
hustle too.
side
It's a stressful
of your,
hustle.
That's right. There's another side of your brand coin, and it's, where is my brand the most effective? How can my high utility, most people that are building a brand are high utility. We are salespeople, we are content creators, we're writers, we're marketers, we are hobbyists, we are conversationalists, we're networkers, right? The number of hats that a true sales professional wears is ungodly in the modern age.
Yeah.
If they are successful at it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way that it works. Some of these people spend 9 hours on a golf course, but close a $2 million deal on a Friday afternoon because of it.
It's very true. So what would you say though, what is that first step then to building a brand? Where should they start? If you were to give one piece of advice, only one piece of advice in 1 minute, what would you line it up as?
Hold your phone in front of your face consistently and share your story from start to finish. Let people take the journey with you as you build it. These people become loyalists. They stay with you for a lifetime. They engage with your content constantly. They share it in their stories. Shane, how many of your stories have I shared?
Loads.
A lot, because we support our friends and the people that we actually build a bridge with. When we are true social sellers out there, social connectors, real networkers out there, not the people that are in your inbox sending you OnlyFans stuff and all that. That's garbage, right? Like we all despise it, and yet it's $1 billion industry, right? Like what the are we doing?
Yeah. China just banned it. China just banned it.
What I'm saying to you here is that if you want the attention of somebody, there are ways to get it that are extremely intentional, very subtle, generate a meaningful connection. And I promise you, it's not the way you structure your cold email. That is, hold your phone in front of your face and share your story. Where are you going? What are you building towards? Why do you want to do what you do? What are you doing every day to get there? If you share that, hey, I tried this. Say What Sales started out. I just shared people, hey, today I made 150 cold calls and I used this opener and I ended up getting 17 conversations and 5 booked meetings. Try this opener, right? And I would just do this every day. And that was the best thing that I could have done. And then instead of doing it on Facebook, I started doing it on LinkedIn, and the entire world changed for me.
How do you, so one thing I've asked and always questioned even with myself is what is the kind of balance then of what's like appropriate in terms of what you want to share for authenticity, and then there is that element of professionalism that you have to maintain. And let's say you have a job, like not everybody's fortunate enough to, well, I'm not going to say fortunate, not everybody's in the same position to be able to say, like, I can post whatever I want, I can be explicit on my content, I can have no filter.
Yeah.
Like if you were to kind of pepper it with a bit of context around that, how would you
Sure.
kind of frame that?
So I actually come up against this a lot when I talk to reps that want to have a brand and a digital footprint, a presence of their own and a brand of their own, because they know, right? Like they know the value of investing in themselves and building that brand in a specific space that they're good at and that they like, you know? So they jump in full, oh, you know, how do I, like if I sold limestone, right? These people come to you and they go, how do I build a brand around limestone? Doesn't that seem odd? And you're like, oh, well, it does actually. But you know what? It turns out when I look for the top influencers of limestone, there ain't very many, pal. So you could be that person. You know what I'm saying? And it like dawns on them that it doesn't have to be, you know, but then, you know, you become known as the limestone guy. Yeah, maybe. The limestone lady. Sure. Why not? You know? But these are different ways that we can do this, and the companies that we work for have to decide whether or not they're going to support it. Now, I know many an influencer that has multiple pages, but I also know the more pages you have, the more it opens you up to having false pages, phony pages.
What do you mean by pages when you're just
so for example, creating multiple Instagram accounts, and one of them is your personal Instagram account that you share with your family and friends, and the other is your professional influencer account, right? Well, that's great. Like I'm super supportive of you keeping those engagement processes separate and not having them integrated together. But don't you realize that when people search for you and see multiple accounts, you suddenly there's a lot of credibility lost instantly there, right? There is an acceptance in 2026 and beyond. I assure you, there's a level of acceptance in our modern society where people expect to see both professional and personal content mixed together. There are news reporters that have Abby Ham of WBIR, probably the best example that I can give you. This woman is incredible. Okay, go follow her if you know who Abby Ham is. She was a WBIR reporter for like, I don't know, 20 years. And all the while, she was also a content creator. She does like makeup stuff. She does, you know, all types of local community things. She has built such a great following. And now she's broken out on her own. And she started talking about how to be successful, how to build a brand that is sustainable, and how to do something with your career and your life. She's a public speaker now, right? Traveling around talking to young people about this stuff. These avenues of impact that we have that bring us great joy in life are what the modern employee is after. Companies should be enabling them to do this, right? Because it benefits them. It benefits them beyond belief. Because when they have those people in place that have these networks, these huge followings, these massive, like, I could just post this one thing and my 1.2 million followers, you know, we'll see if 30% of them convert into top of the funnel leads, you know. Hey, how much do I need to pay you for that? Like, I will write you a check right now if I'm a go-to-market person with a budget, right? Like, this is the way. If we don't get with it, if the companies don't get with it, they're going to end up like the Toys R Us's of the world. Refusal to change, a non-understanding of what it is to collect a large network of people and find your buyers in it. I've probably talked a lot about that at your face, and there's probably people listening to this going, this guy never shuts the fuck up.
No, because again, we're unpacking, it's kind of a critical piece where like some people, they have got fired for these kind of things. They've been told and reprimanded by their bosses, you need to stop that. And there are some occasions where that person has been told, you need to stop that. And they went off and built their own company and they're wildly successful as a result of it. So to each his own, right? But one thing that I find quite interesting is you host a daily sales show. It's an insane content cadence. So what's the execution system for creating that much valuable content consistently? And how do you stay on top of what's hot in sales right now?
So fortunately, I don't have the burden of having to come up with what's hot. I get to rely on the best people in the game to be the guest on the show and provide that information. All I have to do is, like a typical discovery call, I have to ask the right questions on the show. So we go through quite an editorial process, and we're pretty selective, I think, about the people that come on the show and the topics we attach them to. And our sponsors reap the benefits of us carrying their flags, right? Our audience trusts us to bring them solid gold in the form of technique, tactics, things they can execute on, but also products and services that serve them and can better their situation, better their results. So they look to us for that, and those are our sponsors. You've seen them: ZoomInfo, Vidyard, Gong, SalesLoft, HubSpot. These are all companies that are geared towards salespeople, and they want our audience to know they're out there and can help them. And that's our model. That's the way that we do it. How hard is it to keep up with? Well, I'm fortunate there as well. I don't have the burden of having to do it alone. I work with the best team of people in the world. Kevin Johnson runs our operations and events. Maria is probably the most gifted executive producer out there, next to a lady that was with us for a long time that sort of helped plant some seeds. Vicky was with us. I think you had a chance to meet Vicky once, perhaps on a call. Anyway, Chris Merrill is our CEO and likely one of my dearest friends at the current time. We spend a lot of time doing sales together. I manage all the sponsorship partnerships. I bring in the new people, and that as the host of the show, of course, when you call somebody that came to the show, they're like, "Oh my God, how are you? Like, this is amazing." Like, what I'm saying? Like, again, that brand doing its work instead of the guard being up there like, "Oh my gosh, I was at your show like just recently. How can I help you?" It's like the best conversation that you can have because they're extremely familiar with who you are. "Hey, this is James Buckley with Sell Better. You were at my show Thursday. How are you today?" Listen, not only do I want to get some feedback from you about the show, but I have some ideas after looking at your company about how we can work together. Do you have a couple seconds?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense,
That's so
right?
tough for people to say no to that, man.
It is. It is. And one other motto though that comes across in your voice in your show a lot is no fluff. And I think just tactical deep dives. I think that's what you say.
That's hard for me, actually. Shane, I'm very fluffy.
So what's your filter then for what makes a piece of advice no fluff? And can you give us one example of a common piece of sales advice that you consider to be all fluff?
Oh, sure. So I'll use my own actions because I'm the fluffiest son of a bitch you ever met. I have a terrible. So I'm a Tolkien fan. I read a lot of Middle Earth stuff. It's a lifelong endeavor for me. I'm such a fan. And when you read high fantasy, especially like linguistic stuff with made up languages and things, it creeps into your writing. Fantasy is great reading. If you like murder mystery, it's great reading to draw out the suspense. You appreciate that as a reader. But those types of reading skills don't translate well into writing skills in sales. So use AI, right? And write it the way you would write it. But then use AI to build agents like in ChatGPT or in Agent AI or in Claude you can pop that writing that you did in there and you can say, write this more professionally. Use my guardrails. I don't want to violate these 5 rules with writing in sales, right? And it'll go through and it'll polish that up really nice for you. Everybody's scared of letting AI do the work for them. I think AI can really improve what you want out of the desired outcome and what your person appreciates that is the recipient of that message. So what advice I would give? I would say write it the way you write it. Make the guardrails in AI, the little engine, exist, and then pop your writing in there to say, let's rewrite this in the right way because I need this to be a little less fluffy, or I need this to come across in the right way. Here's my goal. It will do such a great job. And I've been fond of saying, you're not going to do it better than AI will do it, But AI isn't going to do it for you. That is the misconception.
AI will get you the thing with AI is 90% of the way there. That for me is what I think is the best thing. It gets me 90% of the way there. It cuts out a whole load of noise. And for me,
I was a
it get,
naysayer for a long time, Shane. I did not want to embrace
I
AI
remember.
at all. Yeah, you remember I was very hesitant.
It's
Up
because
until
there's
just
loads of risk around it.
well, I didn't really look at it as risk as much as I did. Like, I felt like I was losing. If I used it, I was going to lose the me in what I do,
Hmm.
and that was my fear. But I'll tell you, it's enhanced so much about my results because I didn't realize how damaging my love for reading high fantasy and all this, like, language stuff was affecting my writing. I was going so deep, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you write and you think you're being clever, and I think the thing that
Hmm.
Chris Merrill taught me this year that I've really tried to, like, burn it into my head is like clear, not clever, clear, not clever. Don't try to be fancy with it. Just be very direct. I work with Jed Marley. Jed Marley, man, this kid is amazing. Like, he's so direct with his messaging, and you think, wow, that's pretty sharp, right? Like, how's that going to come
Yeah.
across? But people are
Yeah.
hitting him back, like, absolutely, send me what you have. Let's talk. You're like, what the fuck is happening? I'm wrong about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to admit that shit in the modern age.
So I think this area is where a lot of this what I'm about to speak about is an area where a lot of reps struggle. They want to create content, they don't know what to post. So at RevIntel, kind of we're focused on giving reps that execution intelligence. We want to have them know what the next best action is
Yeah.
based on data. So how can reps use data and buying signals to create content that is not just noise, but is actually valuable to their buyers?
Okay, so this is where themes become super helpful. So you might find there's a pattern on my feeds that leads up to a very specific type of show. So here's a good model that I tend to practice, and it's been working out well for me lately. If I have a show coming up in 2 weeks that's about cold email, I'll have 5 posts about cold email strategies leading up to that first promotional post about that upcoming show. The goal, of course, is to build some groundswell on the topic using the hashtag cold email, the hashtag cold email tactics, the hashtag cold outreach, right? Hashtags have big followings. People follow hashtags. When other people use hashtags, that's part of their network. They'll see that, right?
So, question, is that a myth then? I've heard the hashtags lower your kind of, not lower your credit, but like now the use of hashtags or the use of too many hashtags actually pushes the content down on the algorithm.
So
So
I
is that
think I
false?
think overkill is always going to hurt you. I tend to stick with one row of hashtags, right? So LinkedIn, for example, I will typically do like if it's my post, I always have a hashtag say what sales. I typically have
Yeah.
hashtag sell better. If it's a daily show that I'm promoting, right? I'll use the hashtag daily show, which actually has a really big following because of the damn daily show, right? So you use these hashtags right here, and it gets this exposure, and that's like 3 solid hashtags. But then I have 2 more that I can fit in there. And that's usually the ones that are about the topic, cold email, for example, or cold call technique, or something to that end. And this is so that you can attach the content to the audience, right? The audience that follows that hashtag or that has engaged with posts that carry that hashtag, the algorithm does its job on its own, right? LinkedIn is like a black box for so many people right now. You could have 400,000 followers and you could put a post out and it gets 6 engagements.
Yeah, I've seen
It's a
this.
mystery, and
I
I
am
caution you,
mad.
don't get frustrated with it. I
I'm
want to
frustrated.
scream
I'm
sometimes.
pissed.
I'm
I am
pissed about
pissed,
it.
bro.
Don't be pissed. It's such a waste of time. Just be honest about it, create great content, target effectively, let the algorithm do the thing it does, and eventually it's impossible. If you are consistent, you cannot lose. You will become known for the things that you post regularly. And then when you switch it up, it's like something happens. The algorithm goes, oh, something new, and it takes off.
But you know what's crazy? This is what I don't get. So me and you, like, we engage. Like, I would expect my phone to be listening to us and our conversation to a certain degree, so that when you post something on LinkedIn, the shit comes up in my feed. It's not coming up in my feed. Every like very close person I'm connected with that I genuinely like. I have 34 people in the fucking WhatsApp group, bro.
Yeah.
We have Steve's group has 220 people. Like, these groups that we're so connected and we're like visiting each other's profiles on
Yeah.
the daily
Yeah.
regular.
Yeah.
And mate, I'm getting like Mohammed from fucking Afghanistan. Like, why is Mohammed from Afghanistan?
So here, this is what Darren McKee. So I know so many influencers that have dialed this in, and they have so many different strategies. And this is where I get to plug one of my friends. No, I am not an affiliate of this man, but I will always support him. He has been a friend of mine for so long, and he's doing so many wonderful things for salespeople everywhere.
Yeah.
His name is Darren McKee. I know. Actually, I'll throw a couple names out there that's super duper helpful for LinkedIn. So Darren McKee for sure. 531 Social is his company. It's like 5 people from 3 companies, one message. Like, I mean, he just crushes it with these models that he throws out there. He'll clarify that. I'm probably butchering it. He'll be mad at me for it. It's fine. The other person is Mandy McEwen. Mandy McEwen literally helps people adopt LinkedIn as a platform to grow and prospect and build content, a brand. And then, of course, Lindsay Rios does some great content. Her and Mandy often team up. These people are truly gifted at what LinkedIn likes and how to grow a good audience that will engage with your content when you post it. And I've tried to curate my network for a long time. And then I used to remove people all the time from my network because I thought, I don't want bystanders. If like you've connected with me and like I've hit you 3 or 4 times to actually talk and you're just ignoring me, like why would I stay connected? This was my mentality, But then Leslie Vanetz,
I know there's a way out of it.
Yeah, she was like, no, you're doing it wrong, and it changed my perspective. Like, you have no idea where that person is going and where they'll end up, and they could end up being a prospect for you later. They could come to you out of the clear blue sky, James, and say, hey, I love what you do. I've been a fan for a long time. Let's do business. I'm ready. And it's an easy deal. And that's a really good point. My only argument back was that I've been doing this for so long and I've never had anybody come back to me and say, how did we get disconnected?
Mate, you're spot on there. And I think there was a phrase
that's
you mentioned
human behavior,
a year
right?
ago.
That's not LinkedIn. That's human behavior, no?
Yeah, well, look, I think one of the most valuable things you shared with me about a year ago was after somebody connects with you, before you accept, you said, send them this message, which is like, look, hey, basically, just out of interest, what's the point of connecting, right?
What prompted you to connect with me? I use the word prompted. That's my...
Your sometimes my language is terrible, but I said like how I said it depends how it sounds in my head. But I've not said
that's
it
the
as
search
much,
term is prompted, right? That's the key, is that I have a search term I look for,
Yeah, but I think it helps because, yes, if you do... I've realized I have a couple of dozen people that I know are a complete waste of time. They're just connecting with me because they want to send me that one message and blast me, and then they'll never message me again. And then I got some dweeb in my network that is completely invaluable. So, look, I hold my network like close now. You told me yourself, be protective of your network. Don't let everybody into it because it will screw up your own algorithm. So
I let everybody in. Everybody gets the benefit of the doubt. I just don't let everybody stay.
No, that's a very good. I think that's a very good way to look at it. So
you
let's
can
look
come
at
to
this.
the party, but you can't sleep on the couch. You know what I'm saying?
So the last little bit of the show, a lot of people I'm speaking to, a lot of the advisors, a lot of customers, they're talking about the future of the sales professional.
Yeah.
Last week, I fired basically one of my operators from his job, but he got promoted to basically man the operation of his job. So the job that he used to do is manned by these open claw agents, but now he just tells them what to do, which is much better, much more effective. I get much more leverage. And there's this kind of element of you've got to be more than just a seller now. You can't just be a trusted source of information because you can get information from everywhere. You bring a ton of energy and entertainment to sales. How important is it for the modern sales professional to not just educate, but also entertain their audience? Is edutainment the future of sales, future of selling?
I think it's the future of how marketing I think it's let me say this the right way. Hold on a second. Bring it down because I'll say 1,000 things to this. I believe that this is one of many bridges between marketing and sales that needs to exist. How about that? Yeah, I think
Okay.
edutainment and marketing teams enabling their salespeople to build brands on their platform that attract their target audience. That is the way, one of the ways that marketing and sales could and should communicate to solve the marketing and sales communication problem that generates so much revenue. When you think about giant software service companies as a service SaaS companies, the tech companies, or even just giant product companies like Cintas, these people are still driving around pulling on doors, writing carbon copies for people. But you know what they don't do? They don't waste time.
Yeah,
They're
they execute.
constantly face to face with their buyer. They're
Hmm.
always pulling down new deals. This is the nature of the modern seller, right? But these marketing teams that have for so long been like, you can't create content, needs to be approved by marketing. Sorry.
Yeah, screw that, man.
Wait a minute. Like, I've heard it said before that your LinkedIn belongs to you and not your company. And while I do agree with that statement, I think there's something to be said for what you do with LinkedIn that's beneficial for your company and beneficial for you, your pipeline,
Mhm.
right? We have to understand that, yes, and I think there's a growing population of young people coming into this world of work that are recognizing that LinkedIn has now grown from being a platform where I can get a job on to being a platform where I can generate revenue on.
Yeah, that's powerful.
That is a
That's really
powerful
powerful.
shift for the platform.
Absolutely.
Right, and I know that there's this conversation around, like, these barriers that get put in front of us, but I think that this is a bridge that is beneficial for every single person involved. If you think about all the different parts that play a role in this bridge between marketing and sales alignment of brand building from within. You hire a young person out of college, let's say. Let's even say they were an intern for you for a couple months, and now you have this position of sales available. Fine. You bring them on, and as a marketer, you say, here's what we want to do. We want to start with a podcast, and we need a host. In the interview, you were so high energy. We really loved that. Would you be interested in hosting a podcast? Just as a test run. Let's see how you do. Now a marketing person is bringing on a salesperson and saying, we have something greater in store for you as well. You know
Yeah.
how invested this young person is in this company? Immediately, day one. Right? Just think about how this works. Now this young person hosts this podcast, and for 10 weeks, once a week, he's with a guest and he's driving conversation, helping to build conversation, driving this conversation, and all the while they're building this presence online. And this guy's driving the bus. How special is that for that person?
It is
I bet
because
you,
there's
I'll
nothing
bet you,
attached.
I'll bet you that SDR that does sales and posts that podcast for you stays with your company for 5 years or more.
Yep.
And just
Because
think
it gives
about what
them
you
something
could
they
do with
want.
that. And that's just two people working together, a marketer and a salesperson, right?
It's a massive duo, and I
I know
think,
I've simplified the shit out of that, but you understand why I think this is so important.
of course,
That's
absolutely,
the
look, it
future
gives you an
of
edge.
sales success. How do I pull
It is.
people
It's
in
about it's
and
about
then have the
fulfillment too.
conversation? Yeah.
Because the carrot, in look, from what I see, the carrot is not enough. The carrot is not enough, and that is what is really damaging to sales too. Is if you dangle enough carrots in front of people and they don't hit those carrots or get to achieve them, they're in a constant state of failure, and then that's where a lot of people give up. And then,
So I want to say yes, but also I want to say that failure looks different for different people. So let me put something in front of you on this part of the conversation because I
well,
think
let me clarify. So let's
okay, okay.
let me clarify. So when I say that, right, when I was in let's say 2017, when I started to first get into big ticket sales, I would all set these very ambitious targets, and I'd have it on my screen in this really neat spreadsheet, and my sales director would come over and he'd be like, "That looks great, Shane, but how many times have you actually hit this? Right? You did this like every single quarter. You've not hit it." And he's like, "I've given you a target. You've hit your target, but you've got these like really crazy ones. Like, why don't you maybe just lower it a little bit and get into a habit of like you're hitting this hit a little bit, maybe 150%, then and try to maintain that and then keep pushing it. But if if you don't, you're gonna be in that state of failure, and that's what's bad because you have sales leaders who are realistic, will provide data, and then help you. They will help you get on top of your goal, on track to your goal. But then there's some who are just complete morons and will be like, "You have no product, no assets, no content. Go bring me 100K monthly recurring revenue from like in 3 months."
From nothing but
like,
cold calling.
yeah, seriously, like this is the fucking thing. So that's what I would like to unpack. Then I want to get into a mental health kind of point on that. So to unwrap that for me
Absolutely.
with that context.
So, first of all, I hear your point, and you're absolutely right about the different styles of leadership out there. And I've seen it go both ways. I've seen really great leaders that know how to plant seeds in people and watch them grow. And I've seen terrible leaders that hold everybody accountable and often have a difficult time with accountability themselves. And that's a problem, right? Okay, fine. I'll accept that as part of sales as a culture. Sure. But moving past that, there is something to be said for doing the work, coming in every day, recognizing when you're behind early, doubling down when you need to. And here's the thing. Most of the folks that I know that hit their leaderboard, if they come up short, it's fine. They usually end up making it up in other ways before the end of the deadline. I'll give you a great example. Most of the people, and I'm going to use Brian LaManna from Gong as an example. Most successful people, yeah, this guy just got like AE of the year. This is like his, I don't know, 100th time in President's Club or some shit. It's crazy, this guy, right? But here's what he's done. He has learned what works. He's found the pragmatic approaches that align with his buyer, his selling personality, and the people he can sell well to. And he's put all of that in a repeatable package. And he's essentially created enough value for the sales community for free that everybody's just, it's an all eyes on me thing. And when you think about what you do as a prospector, when you go into prospecting mode, the number one thing you need is conversation with strangers. If all these strangers are looking at you, you have but to make eye contact with the one you want and say, you, you, we're going to talk. Right? And that person is like, me? Oh my gosh. Thank you for choosing me, right? It's a completely different, it's a different shift. And that's all because the way that he has learned what language works and lands for him is impeccable. The way he's put it into systems and processes that repeats it for him so that he doesn't have to like put a ton of, what's the word, fluff we used, right, into it. It just works. He knows it works because he's done it before. So pragmatism is the religion of sales. I think I've said that on your show a couple times. This is never going to change. You have to find the thing that works for you. And then you have to continue to do that thing. And then you have to find other things that work. And then you have to do those things as well. And you have to make those scale. Scale isn't a dirty word. Scale is only a dirty word when we're trying to scale a company. That's an ugly word. But when we're trying to scale a process, well, it becomes a smaller thing. Refine, A/B test, learn what works, go with the thing that works. A consistency in this is what led Brian to where he is.
I think that's very true. So let me ask you this. You're a board member on, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a board member on Uncrushed, focusing on mental health and sales. Right. So how does a focus on mental health and authenticity actually lead to better sales execution and results?
Okay, I'm going to throw a lot of things at you in a very short period of time. Are you ready? Here we go. First of all, I will tell you that no matter what you're doing, if you're creating, there will be trolls. There will be people that dislike your content. There will be people that go in there very venomous. There will be people that comment on the way you look, the way you sound, the way you smell on screen. It's amazing what people will come at you with. Ignore that shit, man.
Yeah.
Block those comments from your life and move on. They don't matter to you. Okay, they're not your people. They're not your tribe. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's an integration. It's an API, our work in our lives. It's not a balance. John Barrows once said this to me, and it stuck with me forever. He said, when I think about a balance in work and life, I think about someone on a tightrope, and they're like holding on to this stick, and they're constantly tense, trying to balance and not fall.
That is a very good analogy. Carry on. Yep.
I never want to live that life.
Me too.
And I was like,
thinking about it this
I was
morning.
like, dude, me either. Like,
Yeah, right? I swear to God, bro, I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about balance. What a bunch of bullshit. Like, you're in the
Bullshit.
balls to the walls and
Yeah.
you want to get the fucking, like, yeah, I want to achieve the fucking $100 billion company, but I'm going to balance it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
cut it out,
fine.
bro.
That's absolutely fine. You can think that if you like. You're not going to balance it. What's going to happen is it's going to eat you alive. You're going to start a family, and they're going to leave you because all you do is work. You know, and I think there's a lot to be said for people that make $30,000 a year and spend most of their time with their family and are happy as clams every day, and people that have hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank account and complain about never being home to spend time with their families. Why? Like, this doesn't make sense. You already won. You got them all, man. Go spend time with your family. You know, there's a quality of life conversation to be had there. Mental health in sales can often be a very difficult thing. Think about a salesperson that wants to become a vice president of sales. That's their goal. They've made it all the way up to manager, but they have a really hard time being a manager because finding out what motivates a team member is very complicated. It's difficult to motivate people these days. You don't know what their motive is. Right?
Yeah.
You have to find out. They have to earn that from them. And that's a difficult thing to do. So they fail at management. Well, do you think that that company, that same company, is going to go, well, they failed at management. Maybe they'll be better as a VP. Do you know how crushing it is to have that happen to you? It's crushing your soul. You move on to another company. You start over from scratch with the goal of becoming VP. And you hope that it works out better that time. Right? This is very taxing on our mental health. I can tell you, even if you're an account executive for the rest of your natural born life, but you are a person that helps other people become successful, you're already that VP. The salary does not define what that leadership is. So
That's a very good point. It's a very good point.
Yeah. That's just the way that I view it, though, and I have a weird loyalty. You know, I don't become affiliates of other companies. I work for Sell Better. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I host the show.
Yeah.
I manage the sponsorship sales. Like, you know, that's my life. That's all I
Makes
want my
sense.
life to be. I don't want to sell what you sell. I already sell what I sell.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So to bring it all together, if there is a sales rep, a VP, or even an early stage or late stage founder that wants to get into content, they want to start building their personal brand and become impossible to ignore, what's the one thing they should do today after this show?
Start a list and be consistent with it. So everybody has a smartphone in their pocket. We're all humans, right? Open your notes, create a document, whatever you have to do. Every time you have an idea for a video, a quick 1-minute thing you want your target audience to know, whether it's about you or about business or about a problem that you solve, go ahead. Light it up, but do it every day. Find the hashtags that work for your industry, your target buyers. Find the top influencers in that space. Go learn from them. Don't sell to them. Go learn from them. Sell to their audience. That's the people. So those are steps that you can take to get started. I promise you'll see instant traction. Instant like, oh shit, stuff is happening. People are engaging. And that's all you need for a good conversation. That's it. Just need a reason.
Well, look, I think that's a great way to wrap up the show. Where can people find you, learn more about Sell Better, get on the show, help sponsor the show?
Absolutely. Reach out to me directly, james@sellbetter.xyz. That's my email address. I'm taking all emails. I will literally read anything that you send me because I like it. It's fun. And then also, you can check us out, sellbetter.xyz, and come to the Daily Show. There's upcoming shows on the website, on the homepage. Come to one. Shout out to me in the chat if you came to this, if you saw this. I'm a huge fan of engaging with our audience live in the Zoom room. So thank you very much for all the support you've shown me over the years, my friend. I appreciate you.
That's it for today. Thank you. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this episode and staying here the whole way through. If you like what you saw, click subscribe. It'll take you 2 seconds. It helps me reach amazing guests and deliver valuable content for you. And if you ever want to find out what we do as a business, go to www.gorevintel.com, and that is the place where we help you make decisions that are backed by intelligence, and it's for founder CEOs. That's it for me for now. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.